Now the session is on recording, so welcome to tonight's session. Like I said, we are going to look at change management plan and other documents. Hopefully today or tonight we are going to finish everything in documentation and deliverables or documents and deliverables project management.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so please you can put yourself on mute to avoid because this when you'll be watching it so that will be a bit professional. Okay. Okay, here we go for tonight. We're in change management plan. So what is change management? It describes how changes to project scope, schedules, or resources will be identified, evaluated, and implemented. So as a project manager, you should be expecting changes in projects. Project stakeholders over time changes their mind about what they want. Some of them are not certain about what they want, so they feel they can always make changes while the project is going on. So in agile methodology is highly accepted. Changes can come in at any point within agile. It's a welcome development. But in waterfall, when the project charter has been agreed on and authorized, any other changes coming in must go through a rigorous process. And what you need to do is to try to identify the change and do the necessary evaluation and the impact, and then before it can be implemented. Another way we can see change is that a change, when a project is starting officially, we can call it a change. So any project brings about a change. So meaning that we have to start it as a fresh project. We need to describe the scope and the schedule and the resources within that project. But so there is two types of change here. We have a new change or a change within an ongoing project. So this is how a new change is going to be. But when we have a change in an ongoing project, it's still acceptable. But like I said, in agile is one way, it's very easy. But in waterfall, it's not that easy. You need to evaluate the change because any change you are adopting when the project is going on can affect the project scope. So let's look at a new change. Here is implementing a new change, a new customer relationship management is a new change. So we want to address it the way it should be called a change. So what we need to do is to now reason for the change, understand the reason for the change, just like we're starting a new project. Here we have improved customer service efficiency and data management. And then you need to identify stakeholders. In this new change, you have sales team, customer service team, IT department, and the management team. And then you come up with a communication plan. Communication plan is what we've done about it. We have we've done stakeholder management. So communication plan is the way you communicate with your team and communicate with your stakeholders. So here we have an announcement. Is a way of communicating, announcing the change to all the stakeholders or all the people, stakeholder people that are really using the CRM system. You need to come via email. You need to inform them through an email, and you need to tell them the purpose, benefits through the company email or via a meeting. Then you need to provide comprehensive training session for all the users on the new CRM system functionalities, offer ongoing support, resources like frequently asked questions, video tutorials, and regular updates to keep stakeholders informed with the progress update and address any concern through the email and newsletter and question and answer session. This is a way of communicating widely to the whole organization and stakeholder, carrying them along about what's going on. So this is just documenting about this change. It doesn't mean that this is how this project is going to be, or the main. It's just a change, capturing a change, how it should be. So it must have, because you see here, we have captured the training, you must have a training plan. So they develop a training materials, including user guide, quick reference guide, and video tutorials. These are some of the training we've seen, and regular help support or help desk assistance, and one-on-one coaching where possible. Because when a change is coming to an organization, there is always a resistance. So there's another kind of change management here we need to do, call this change management. So because some people in the organization have been using a particular system for a long time, and once we want to change to another system, it's going to be difficult. So although you are going to provide training, but some of them are not going to be happy about it. Just like over 20 years you have been using one system doing your work, you become so used to the system, and now they are bringing in another software you don't know anything about, meaning that you just have to start afresh like every other fresher. So all the years of experience, you are going to throw it away. Some people are not going to find it funny. In some cases, some people will even leave the company for them. So this is not easy the way we are just talking about it. It can be devastating. But with good change management, more especially resistant to change management, you can handle situations like this. So anticipate potential resistance to change. Example, fear of learning new software or technology. Address concern directly through open communication and provide opportunities for feedback. Highlight the benefits of the new system for individual users and overall team performance. So These are various ways you can try to mitigate this kind of resistance, because this can a strong resistance from the users or from the uh, member of the employees can stop a very good project coming if it's not managed well through resistance to change strategy. And then monitoring and evaluation. You must state how these are going to be done through track user adoption rates of the CRM system, gathering of feedback through survey and focus group to identify areas of improvement, measure key performance indicators related to customer service efficiency and data management, and make adjustment to the training plan or communication strategy if need be. So while the project is going on, these are some of the things. While tracking user adoption, you need to keep on strategizing on how to improve the overall change or the overall project by keep on capturing user feedback and looking at key performance indicators. So this is a way to capture a change. A change is a new project when a new project is coming in. So this is what we call change management plan. So it's a way of capturing a new project. Like I said, we have different types of change. It depends on the way you are looking at it. So this is the overall change. What we call it is a change. Some just call it new project. But in an organization, we call it change management plan. So we have a confusion when we're talking about change management plan. Is it change within the ongoing project, or is it change to managing resistance to change? But this particular is capturing a new project or starting a new project, which is a change. So this is what we need to capture, or the way we need to document it. Then we have documents called lesson learned document. This lesson learned document summarizes project successes, challenges, and key takeaways for future projects, future references. When a project is being carried out on regular basis, like weekly basis, the project manager must make sure that there is a meeting, is a statutory meeting. When I mean statutory meeting, that the meeting is a standard that it must happen. So it's not a meeting you can just decide to fix. So these are one of the statutory meetings in project management, more especially in agile and in waterfall environment. So there is lesson learned meeting where you capture lessons and you document it. Some people try to merge this meeting with a RAID meeting where we discuss potential risk and then document the lesson, how we manage risk. But there is need to document lesson learned on weekly basis or regular basis, depending on the way your organization adopted it. So at the end of the project, all this lesson learned will be compiled into one document, and we'll call it lesson learned document. So let's look at this lesson learned document. It's documented because it's going to the organizational archive, in their project management archive. It's going to be part of their resource material. You can call it library, where people will always go to look at how previous project was handled, key mistakes those that handle the project made, and learn from their mistakes. So looking at this document, it is an example of a lesson learned document. Here we have a category, we have lesson learned, and we'll see action items. So under category, we see communication. So the lesson learned here is that weekly team meeting were crucial for staying on track and addressing issues promptly. So that is, having a meeting on weekly basis is very crucial. So action item here is that you need to implement weekly meeting as standard practice for future projects. Then under testing, so this lesson learned is based on all the activities within the project. Every activity carried out, they try to learn a lesson from the mistake within that particular activity. And this is, say, testing. Here, the lesson learned from the testing is that early and frequent usability testing helps identify user interface issues before launch. Action item here is integrate usability testing earlier in the development lifecycle for future projects. So you can see, whenever you learn a lesson, you make a recommendation of what needs to happen in next project. That is action item. Then we have resource planning. Underestimated the time needed for content creation. So they didn't plan well during content creation. Maybe the time allocated to content creation was not properly reviewed. So the next time is improve content creation time estimate in future project planning. Then looking at sources, utilizing a cloud-based project management tool facilitated collaboration and document sharing. So for those who doesn't use cloud-based, such as Basecamp, so this is a lesson. So continue using cloud-based project management tool for future projects. And therefore, in this case, they have been using it and it's a very big success for them. So that's why they say success. So then looking at their challenges, unexpected browser compatibility issues arose during testing. And the action item is allocate dedicated time for browser compatibility testing in future projects. So you can look at here, they are addressing issues. These are most of the issues captured within the project and how they managed it and the lesson they learned. So like I said, the best time to do a lesson learned meeting should be immediately after RAID meeting. RAID meeting is when we capture risk and issues and have a mitigation plan to manage all those risks. So when all these are being managed, we should immediately document the lesson we learn when we manage every risk or every challenge or issue within the project. So this should be the best time to have a lesson learned meeting in project management in conjunction with RAID meeting. And at the end of the project, you put a document like this, call it a lesson learned document. that will be archived. Then we have status reports, project status reports. This should be a regular update on project progress, highlighting accomplishments, issues, risks, and upcoming tasks. You as a project manager, it's very important that you communicate with your senior stakeholders where you tender or submit your weekly report. Call it status reports. So in all the project I've done is done on weekly basis by the project manager. You document your progress, highlight accomplishments within the week, issues that are being identified, risks identified, and upcoming tasks. When you highlight issues and risks, you should equally state how you manage it, or you state how you are working on resolving such issues and risks. So this is how we capture one. So here you state the name of the project, the day you are reporting, and their name being the project manager, and the reporting period, from when to when. So this is the main document here. You capture the areas you are reporting, and the progress, and the notes. So this is the area you captured here. You are reporting on website content, you are reporting on social media graphics, and you are reporting on email marketing, budgets, schedule, risk, and the next step for the next week. So here on website content, your progress is all landing page copy and blog posts completed and approved. So the note here is that ready for integration with website design. So this is a good progress. Then social media graphics, 70% of the social media graphic design and finalized. So on this particular work schedule or activity, you've achieved 70% completion. Now, the remaining graphic will be due for completion by April 2nd. So you make sure that by April 2nd, this is what you're telling your senior manager, that by April 2nd, the next will be due. Then email marketing, you are reporting that email marketing draft is drafted and awaiting final content approval. And the note here is targeting list finalized and ready for deployment. And then you equally, this is something you have to do, is something you must report on. Budget, you must state the state of the budget, whether you're on track or whether you are not on track is very important. You cannot miss this particular item while reporting on your weekly status report. Here on budget is on track, although minor adjustment may be needed based on final graphic design cost. Then schedule, when you talk about schedule, is about timing. Website content slightly ahead of schedule. Social media graphic running behind. So you can see this one is ahead of schedule, meaning that you are doing great in website content. And social media graphics running behind. So the note here is that social media graphic team working overtime to meet the revised, because they are running behind. They have to work overtime to meet the revised deadline. That's why at times you see people working overtime. Some people work on weekend. Maybe because of the project manager have seen that they are running behind time, so they need to meet up. And these are some of the strategies, strategic ways of mitigating the risk. You can work overtime. It's accepted when you see that your timeline is being at risk. Then we have risk here. The risk here is potential delay in email marketing launch if content approval is delayed. Project manager in communication with content team to ensure timely approval. So you have to identify the risk, and you can see here any risk, maybe a risk on your timeline or a risk on your budget. You have to capture any risk. Then you must state what your team are up to in the coming week, because this kind of document comes at the end of the week, like midday on Friday. By midday on Friday, this kind of document should be submitted, so that whoever is reviewing this will have time to go through the report and give you a feedback. So if you are submitting it if the work closes by 5 p.m. and we are submitting this report by 4 p.m., you can see you are not giving the manager, whoever is reviewing this document, time to review it thoroughly and give you a feedback. So you have to submit this kind of document early on Friday, maybe Friday morning or before 12 p.m. So the overall project health must be stated. So if the project is healthy with no risk, then or low risk, it should be on green. If we have a moderate risk, we should be on yellow. And if he's on high risk, it should be on amber. And if he's on critical condition, it should be on red color. So when we are going to look at risk management, we are going to look at all these colors. So here, at risk of minor schedule slip, but corrective action are being taken. So that's why we are putting it, we're not putting it in green, because it's still, but it's not like it's a major risk or it's not critical. So we can leave it at a yellow, which is moderate. So this is how a project status report should look like, a minimum standard. It can be better than this. So we have in the next item here is meeting minutes. That is the next document. In projects, all you do in projects as a project manager, you have a lot of meetings. You have meeting with team members, you have meeting with stakeholders, you can have group meeting with team members, you have one-on-one meeting with team members. So it's all about meeting, a lot of meetings going on. But all these meetings, if not properly organized, if not properly documented, you become confused. You don't know. You can start mixing the outcome of feedback from one meeting and mixing it up, and confusion will just erupt from nowhere. So it's good to understand how to do a proper documentation. These days, most of the meeting we have is recorded, is on video recording. It's left for you to find the best way to do the recording. If you are putting it on recording and you are not writing, these days it happens a lot. You can equally be recording the transcript. Whichever way, or after the meeting, you can listen to the recording and take your notes. Or whichever way, can be writing a note while the video is going on. But you will find yourself in the office. So many meetings in the office are not being recorded using video, because we are not always working remotely. When you work remotely, that's when this kind of recording happen. So you must equally know how to write files and do your document, take your notes. Or if you are at a situation where you are the one maybe presenting, you don't have the time, for somebody must be taking notes for you. So this is simple meeting minutes example. You must capture the title of the meeting, the date and time, location, attendees. You must state who is present and who is absent. Then you have to capture the agenda items. Just like here, you see the attendees here, all the people attending here is captured. You see John Smith, project manager, Jane Doe, developer, Mike Lee, designer, Sarah Jones, quality assurance tester. And here, no one is absent. So all the people invited to this meeting, all of them attended. And here, these are the items to be discussed. And in the items here, we have project status updates, bug reporting and resolution, issue, user interface testing plan. So these are the 3 items to discuss in this meeting. And the note here is review progress on website development tasks and discuss minor delays in the completion. Then on bug, quality tester presented identified bug in current build. Developer assigned ownership and estimated timeline for fixing bug. Then user interface test plan, discussing upcoming usability testing session with target audience, finalize script and recruited participants. So you can see against all the items here in agenda, this is you must make a note, catching note that will remind you everything that is done in that or discussed in that meeting. And then the action items, when you make a note, every meeting must have a takeaway items. And that takeaway items are what we call action items. You need things that need to be worked on. So these are the outcome of that meeting. And it must be assigned to all the participants within the meeting. Everybody within the meeting, you must know what to do next. After that meeting, it must be stated. Like here, after this meeting, The action items for John Smith is to update project Gantt chart with revised deadline. Who is John Smith? John Smith here is the project manager. So that is your project, your meeting action item. Then the action item for Jendo is fix all the highlighted bugs identified by quality assurance. And the due date, every item, action items, you must state the due date for them. So due date means that it cannot exceed, it must be ready by this time. Due date here is April 20th. It means that by April 20th, this must have been done. So for my clip, finalize remaining social media graphics, due date April 22nd. And for Sarah Jones, prepare report summarizing usability testing finding, and due date must be April 29th. So if any of the team members or those are, if they are not producing these deliverables by this due date, it means that the project is at risk. So, and after then, you must state next. What is the next step? Briefly discuss agenda for the next week meeting. So you have stated what everybody must do. That is the action, and then you people must agree when the next meeting should be coming up. So within the next meeting, you have to then talk about all these action items. So maybe some of you have not didn't meet the due date, or so this is the time, and that is how you discuss and capture minutes in a meeting while a project is going on. So as a project manager. So this is a minimum documentation. It can be better than this. Then we have project closure report. It's a document that formally closes the project, summarizes the outcome, lesson learned, and provide recommendation for future projects. So this is how it should be. Lesson learned, you must capture, the project closure, you must capture the project name, the project manager's name, and the report date. See it as it's captured. Then these categories, you state the items, and then you report in details. This is the project activity. You capture all the project objectives. Number one is the project objective. What's the purpose of that project? And then the key deliverables. You need to capture the key deliverables. You need to capture the project outcome, the budget, project schedule, signatories, team members, lesson learned, open issues, and recommendations. So, for instance, here, the objective is to develop a user-friendly and visually appealing website, improve website functionalities and navigation, increase website traffic and user engagement. And key deliverables here are new website launch on so dates, all project documentation, design spec, functionality requirements, and test plan achieved. Then the project outcomes. Website successfully launched and meets all functional requirements. User testing result indicate positive feedback on design and usability. Initial website traffic data showed promising trend. And then include specific data point if available. Then budget. When you are reporting budget in your closure report, it's very important that you capture the original budget and then the final budget. Original budget can change and you make a supplementary budget, meaning that it's no longer the original budget that when the project was starting. And then the final budget is the final budget you use to execute the project. When there is a change from the original budget, there must be a reason for variance. When you create the original and the final, there must be a variance. You need to create the variance within the original and the final and explain the reason for the variance, if any. Then project schedule. Schedule is time in project. You must state the original timeline, just like in budget, and then state the actual timeline. If there is changes, you create the variance days or the variance timeline. What is the difference between the original and the actual? If the project is meant to be a 4 months project and it lasted for 5 months, the variance should be 1 month. And that delay, you must state the reason for that delay in your final report. And then key signatories, you must capture all the important people. Important people are key signatories, people that authorizes this project, like the client name, or the project sponsor. You need to capture their name. Here is very, very important. And then the team members, or the people that participated in this project, it's important to capture their names and their roles. And then lesson learned. Lesson learned is a big document, so it might not contain here. So you make a reference where the full lesson learned document can be found, and you can create a bullet point of the lesson learned within this particular document. And if there is open issues are, situation that are a risk that has happened, that is issues. And the way we manage issues is that whenever there is an issue, we mitigate, we assign it to an owner that will work and mitigate the issue and close it. You find that by the end of the project, you find there is some issues that are not resolved, that are still open. If there is issues that are still open, we still have to list all the outstanding tasks and the unresolved issues. But if all the issues are resolved, at the time of closing this project, there is no issue to capture, and you make a recommendation, suggest any improvement for further projects. So based on your experience, you need to make recommendation, and that is how you close a project as a project manager, using this format as a minimum standard. It can be better than this. Then there's other documents which might not be you might not really be the person to create all these documents, but you find out as a project manager, every document is coming before you to review in a process. So you must have good knowledge of all the documents, even the one that is coming from business analysts or from other team members. Like these training materials, is documents or resources developed to train project team members or end users on the project deliverable. So you can assign this to a business analyst to create training materials. So when you are assigning responsibilities, it's still you are accountable. Although you might not be the one to do it, but you are still accountable. So you must know how or have a good knowledge of that particular document or the deliverable or the outcome. So this is how a simple training material should look like. Here you capture the topic, the description, and steps. For instance, we are talking about a CRM system or a website, how to use a website. You are training people on how to use a particular, a complex website. You must create topics on maybe the features of that website. So number one here is logging into the software. So many people might not know how to log into the software. So there is need for you to, this what this training material is all about. This session explains how to access software for the first time. Here you see step by step. Open a web browser, navigate to the website address, enter username and password in the login field and click login. So that is how that is done. And you capture a screenshot of that particular login page for visual aiding. Then number two here, creating a new project. This session guides user through the process of setting up new projects within the software. For instance, if this is a project collaborative website like Basecamp, where you can create multiple projects, you click on the project tab, click new, create new project button, 3, enter project name and description, select any relevant project setting, 5, click the create button. So these are step by step. In this case, you can capture still a screenshot or capture a short video on how to do that. Then adding tasks to projects. So I will not go through all of them one by one, but I'm just explaining. So looking at this, I'll make all these documents will be available for you to review in the course portal. So this is how to create a document, simple training materials. With this, you can train your organization on how to use a particular. When you document, have a good documentation like this. This is a good training material. You can see step by step within all the functionalities of a software. If you pick a software functionality, you explain what it's about and how to use it. So with this, you see that users will not struggle. You can see you state it, a process flow on how to use it, and equally attach a video or a screenshot of how to do it. So with this is a good way of creating training material. Some people, when you say training material, they will, it's just for you to, train people on how to use a particular software they have not used before. So it's a very simple process, but it can be overwhelming when you say you have to create a training material. Some people will start panicking. How do I do that? I don't know. I don't know how to. But if you have used a particular software as a project manager, as a business analyst, most of the time, this is the work of a business analyst, because the business analysts, they are the people that design this software, do the all the process and everything, and so it's the business analyst should know how to use. So, but you as a project manager, you should equally have a good knowledge of a project, a software that you spearheaded, you led in developing from beginning to the end. So even if there is no business analyst, you as a project manager should be able to create a training material because this is your project. You manage this project. So then procurement document. This include request for proposals, statement of work, contract, vendor, evaluation for procured goods and services. In project management, there is need, depending on the kind, even if it's not material project, if it's a digital project, you still find a situation where you are doing procurement. Like when you are doing a software implementation, like let me use Dynamics 365 CRM, at some point we need procurement because this is a software we are buying from Microsoft. So there is need for exchange of money and contract from one company to another company or vendor. So you must know how to create a proposal, a procurement document. Procurement is buying, purchase, and supply. This is where the word comes, procurement. So this is a simple procurement document example. Request for quotation. And here you need to capture the title, request for quotation, RF cure, then information here for goods or service being procured. You need to state the goods or services being procured. Company information, here you need to state the issuing company name, address, and contact detail. That should be a company information here, your company name, your address, your contact information. The issue date, you need to put the date, and the closing date for quotation, you need to put the date for quotation when when the quotation are due. You need to put the date. Project description, brief overview of the project or the need. So you need to state the project where you are procuring these particular goods or services. Simply describe goods or services you require and is intended use. Specification, you need to state specification of the particular item you are trying to. Why is it important to state specification? In Dynamics 365, for instance, they have version 1, they have version 2, they have version 3. At times they will have a latest version, but they will advise you that that latest version is still on beta. Beta is when that is still on testing. Some people can still use it, but they cannot guarantee you the stability of that particular version. So you can go to a lower version, which is more stable. So that's why it's good to state the spec, the specification. But some people, we want the most current, whether it's on beta, that's what we want. So that's why it's issue to specify the particular spec you want within your quotation. Evaluation criteria, how quotation will be evaluated, indicates the way or the different factor, price, quality, experience, mention any specification, evaluation criteria, warranty term, customer service. All these issues are need to be stated, more especially the warranty terms. Is very, very important. So that if anything happens, you know the warranty terms and conditions. Then submission instruction, how do you submit quotation? Specify preferred format, example, by email. Some quotation, you can send it by email. Some quotation can be by filling an online form. You must state how the quotation is going to be submitted, and the contact information, who to contact for question about the quotation, name and contact detail of the procurement officer. In some cases, you have procurement officer in the company who processes every procurement. But so many companies, procurement is something a project manager can do very well. So in this case, if there is no procurement officer, you are the project manager, you are going to be the procurement officer here. So that is a simple document for procurement. Then we have test plan and test cases. Yes, you are not the person doing the testing. You are not the business analyst, and you are not a quality assurance personnel who carry out the quality or who design or create the test plan and test cases, but you are the project manager. So you must have good knowledge of how this document to know or make sure that the document is within the acceptance criteria or the acceptable standard. That's why you must have good knowledge of some of these documentation. And like I said, that's why it's good. And most of my classes is a hybrid, classes where you do project management and business analysis, so that you learn some of these things that if you pursue project management, it's still good to learn some key terms in business analysis, because in projects, most projects are being driven by both project manager and business analysts. Though we have testers, but everything a tester can do, a business analyst can do it. If they are creating a separate rule for tester or quality assurance, it's just to remove some workload from the business analyst. Not that the business analyst doesn't. Business analysts have a diverse knowledge of a lot of things. Business analysts, they are good project managers as well, and so many companies these days go for business analysts because they seems to be very versatile. So let's look at this document called test plan and test cases. Document outline the testing approach, strategies, and criteria for validating project deliverables. When project deliverables are created, it must be validated. Validation means that they have to be tested, they have to be authorized, they have to be approved. After validation means that, yes, they have been approved. So these test cases or test plan is for validation. So let's look at how it's done here. In this test plan, we capture the project name, and the project name is the e-commerce website, and the tester's name, you capture the tester's name and the date of the test. Text objectives, you need to capture the objective, and here our objective is to ensure Website functionality meets all requirements. Verify a smooth user experience for online shopping. Identify and report any bug or errors. The scope here is this test plan covers functionalities like product browsing, search, shopping carts, checkout, and user account management. So in testing, you must state the areas that must be tested. That's what we call scope. And the testing tool, what are the tools or the environment that we are going to use for this? It need to be stated. Is it at times we have automated testing where we use some kind of automation? We call it Selenium test automation. In most cases, this kind is a bit complex way of testing, and this is where the experienced testers or quality assurance personnel come in, because most of them are very experienced in this automation testing. But if it's just a simple manual testing, this is where mainly business analysts does the testing. Then testing criteria, pass or fail. You must state whether the test pass or fail. Functionality works as intended, and user experience is smooth, is pass. And when there is error or unexpected behavior, it must be fail. This must be clearly stated how we come about the failure of a test, or when a test passes the testing. And then schedule. Tests will be conducted over a period of time, days, just the date. So you must state the date for the testing. So that is how a simple test plan should look like, or test cases. It can be more detailed. When we go deeper into what we are doing, we'll see a very big test. Let me see if any of this thing is open here. So it's not. So, but very soon we are going to see it, how all this testing, a test play, a more robust or complex test plan, how it looks like. But this is just a simple document of how a test plan and test cases should look like. So this is the first one here is a test plan, and the second here is a test case. So under the test case, you must capture the test case ID, describe the test cases and steps and results. For instance, looking at test case 1, it must be a unique ID. And here the unique ID here is test TC01. In most cases is a combination of alphabet and number called alphanumeric ID. So, and you describe it. So here TC01 is search for existing products by name. So whoever is going to, this is the description and this is the step. So whoever is going to conduct this test, you come, you take this TC01, you read the description. The description is telling you to search the products, existing product by name. So all you need to do is under step 1, this is testing going on, how the test should go. Enter a valid product name in the search bar. 2, click on the search button or press enter. So when that is done, search result page should display matching products, details, and accurate and complete. So that is what is expected here. This is the expected result. A product details and accurate and complete. So just like we normally, if we are browsing for a product, if you enter a product name and click search, the product names and detail will come out. But in a situation when you click enter the product name on the search bar and you click search button and nothing comes out, this is where the term pass or failure, it automatically is a failed test, because we are not seeing what is expected. In a situation we cannot see what is expected, is failed. But after this and the expected result appear, we are going to put pass. So that is how we conduct a functionality test using test cases. And when that is done, you come to TCO to search for non-existing product name. And that is how you'll be conducting all the tests, following the instruction in the this test case document. You follow it, you can see everything you are doing here, even if you don't know anything in IT. As a matter of fact, the person that is going to conduct the testing is not going to be a member of the team. Is a user using that. So for instance, we've created an e-commerce website. Whoever is going to carry that test is not going to be a part of our team. We can randomly pick somebody from the organization to carry out the testing. All we need to do is to give the person a test document like this that is very, very clear of what the person, so whoever is doing that, or you there, the tester with the user, the tester can be directing the user on what to do, reading out these test cases. These are documents that need to be prepared before the implementation of any software or solution. So by the time the configuration is over or the build is over, this document will come out, and we are going to use this document to conduct the testing. So this is how a test case document should look like, and this is how a test plan. You can see the test plan have stated how this test, the objective, the scope, the tool, the criteria, the schedule, and now this is the test case. So this is the practical document we are going to use in carrying out the test. So being a project manager is not your duty to create this document. This is the duty of a business analyst or quality assurance personnel or a tester to come out with these documents before they start execution. So during the execution, but you must validate, making sure that this document is accurate and is within the standard. Then resource allocation plan. This is your core functionality as a project manager. You must know how to create this. Detail the allocation of resources. When you talk about resources, we talk about human, we talk about finance, and we'll talk about material. So human resources are human beings. All of us know what's so mainly that is when we talk about ERP, we talk about enterprise resource planning. So this is where the resource comes in. So in a project, we are talking about resources. The resources here are the team members, people working in this project, and finance at the budget, and we know what is the material. All the procurement, if it's purchasing of license, these are materials. If it's we're working on construction site, when you are buying cement, sand, all these are material resources. So you must know how to allocate your resources very well. So, and this is when we come to what we call a project plan. So this is a mini project plan. So you should be able to create a document like this where you capture the resources, you capture the tasks, you capture the time estimate, and the who has assigned the availability of the person, the start date, and the end date. So you capture it like this. In most cases, what we create is a project plan. When we create a project plan, it has covered all these resource allocation plan. We've seen how to create a project plan, or we've seen not how to, but a document, because we've not done how to. It's part of the things we are going to do when we are going to learn how to use a project plan software. But we have seen how a project plan looks like. We say that a project plan is being created out of work breakdown structure. So this is resource allocation. If you know how to create a good project plan, it covers this resource allocation, but this is how a resource should be allocated in a project. Well, for me, I don't use this document once I have a good project plan. So there's no need for this. So let me see, like looking at this is a mini project plan. I call it mini project plan because there is no allocation of fund within this. This is just a work breakdown structure. It's beyond work breakdown structure. Why I say this particular document is beyond work breakdown structure is because we have allocated time here. So time has been allocated. So per this, so we've seen the time, we've seen the deliverable, we've seen this is the human resources. But here we just captured PM and the BA, just a, but in the Ray project, we need to capture all the name of all the resources, assigning them to different deliverables, and the time it is going to take them, like you see one day, and the amount of money, how much they are getting each particular deliverable is taking, and it must be apportioned the amount of money to use to deliver every, so that we see when we are running out of fund, or so that is, but this is just like to show you how a good project plan, not a good, but an example, a picture of how a project plan should look like, because a project plan should go beyond this. This is, let me call it a work breakdown structure, but it's a more complex work breakdown structure, which covers this resource allocation. Resource allocation is one who assign you see the full timing here, time is take. We equally need to assign the amount of money it takes to perform a particular deliverable. So I just captured this because it's part of a document, but I don't use it because it's not, for me, it's not useful to me. Well, if we are using a project plan, there is no need for this. Then we have requirements documentation. This is captured and define the project requirements, including functionalities and non-functionalities and technical specification. So a project, sorry, business analyst should come up with this document where the business analyst create a high-level requirement of any particular software. So, but as a project manager, you still fall within your domain to review them after being created. So you still need to know how a good requirement documentation should look like. So this particular one is a simple requirement documentation for a mobile application. So you have to capture the requirement ID, the description, and the type, and the priority, and the source. Is it just a user story or just a normal tax? You need to state it. What is the priority of that particular requirement? Is it high or low or medium? You need to capture it. What type of requirement is this? In the software development, we have two types of requirement: functional and non-functional requirements. Functional requirements are those requirements that you feel you see the functionality, like in this particular software called called Google Doc. This document we are using here is Google Doc. This document have what we call functional requirements. Requirement that you can use a functionality, you can a feature. For instance, looking at this particular feature here, this is a functional requirement. This feature called file is a functional requirement. It functions. If I click on it, you see here, this is the functionalities. How you see the way it functions. You see edit is a functional requirement. You see view, if you use, all these are functional requirements in software development. But there are some requirements that is not functional. As a matter of fact, some of those, you cannot see some of those requirements, but it's very important. The security of a particular this thing, you might not see how secure this particular software is when you're talking about security, or the speed. No, when you are trying to open this, you might not see the speed of how it's loading, the speedness of loading, but it's a key requirement in software development. An application should be able to load very fast. Once you click on application, some of them will take you time to start loading, being slow. These are all requirements. So that's why we say functional requirements and non-functional requirements. So when you capture a business analyst is documenting various requirements that a particular system must have. When you create, you come with the requirement ID, which is going to be both alphanumeric, and then you have to describe the requirements, tap the name and the requirement, you capture the description. You need to state whether it's functional or not functional. And then the priority is how do you, classify it? How important is this particular functionality in this software development? Looking at the organization's goal. in terms of our goal, how important must you have it? You know, in some softwares, there are some good functionality. It's just good, but it's not so important. Looking at some of the software we have today, I'm using this as a mobile application as an example. Some of the mobile application, you can log in using your social media, and once you see them, you see login using your Facebook, or log in using your Google account. So you don't need to start typing in. As long as your Google account is open within your phone or on your browser, or your Facebook account is automatically, they are going to link together, they are going to sync together, and it will use that particular to log in or sign up. So it's a very good functionality, but it's good to have. When there is limited resources, we don't need to waste resources on that. We can just create a simple login system where you put your email and password that every other person have. But if you want to give your customers or users a more friendly user experience, these are some of the things you consider capturing. Some of those items, we call them good to have. And when we are scaling them in terms of priority, we can say you can put them on medium. So even if the software does not have that feature, the software can still be used. But in an e-commerce application, there are some functionalities that are very high. Their priority is high. E-commerce is all about buying and selling. So an e-commerce should have a good payment gateway, so that when customers are buying, they should be able to make a transaction, make payment. An e-commerce should have a shopping cart, where that you need to put something in your cart while you are shopping. So when we are looking at priority, these two things, e-commerce, in an e-commerce application, these particular two things, shopping cart and payment gateway, is more prioritized than social media login. So that is the way to scale in terms of priority. So that is how a requirement documentation should look like, just like this, capturing the functionality type, priority, source, description, and the requirement ID. So, and the last but not the least is the deployment plan. Deployment plan outlines the procedure and timeline for deploying project deliverable into production or operation environment. After producing a software or application, we must have a plan on how to deploy it. And this is your job. As a project manager, you manage this project, so you should be able to know how these projects or this software are going to be deployed from the building environment. We call it dev environment, where you and the developers are working on this particular document or this particular software, producing it, is called dev environment, developer environment. So it's only you and your developers are being locked into that room called dev environment. Nobody comes in. But after building that software in dev environment, you need to carry out a lot of tests to make sure that they are working. Everything has to be within that dev environment. We can call it dev environment. If you hear another word is sandbox environment, where you play around with the software before it goes live. So here, as you are coming into tech, there are some words you need to understand. That's why I'm taking time to explain dev environment. Dev environment can equally be called sandbox environment. So when you need to move that software where people will start using it, people can start downloading the application. They go to Play Store, Apple Store, people can start downloading it. That environment where people can start downloading it, or just people can just browse and log into your website and start, we call it operation environment. So that is the operation or production environment. You are moving it from the development environment to production environment. So you need to have a plan on how to deploy it. So the stages here is pre-deployment, deployment, and post-deployment. And then have rollback if necessary. So pre-deployment is when the application is still in the development environment. You have not deployed it to production environment. You must have a plan. What is done within this? You prepare the environment and application for deployment. This is at this stage, you still need to prepare it for environment. And what are the activities? What do you need to do before it goes live? Backup existing website files and database. Test the updated application in a staging environment. Identify rollback plan in case of issues. And this is the responsibilities. Who does this? Development team and operations team. So these are the people that does this. And then during the deployment is the time now we are trying to push this software into the production environment so that it can be accessed to the general public. Push the updated application to the production server. Update the website file and database on the production server. Implement any necessary configuration changes. Monitor the performance after deployment. So this is the time you are now pushing it to the operations environment, and that is the production server. And the people involved here are the operations team. Once it's been deployed to the production environment, the operation team will be in charge to do the monitoring. It's now going live. The developers, they have finished their job. They can only be called back when there is issue. And then post-deployment, when a system is being deployed, application is being deployed, it's not just over. It needs to be monitored. So as a project manager, depending on your contract, some people, in moment, more especially a contract project manager, once the project is being deployed, means the project has gone live, and you've submitted your report, your project closure report. This is no longer your duty. The post-deployment, they have post-deployment team that can work on that. But it's good for you to know all these things. So the post-deployment, that is after the deployment, verify successful deployment and address any issue. And perform smoke testing to ensure core functionality works as expected. Monitor website traffic and user activity for anomalies, address any bug or error reported after deployment. So these are the responsibilities of the quality assurance and the operations team. And you must state the date when these are happening. So why we call it a document, a plan, is because it carries dates when every activity must happen. So every activity here must happen at this particular planned date with this group of professionals, and this is the action they need to perform. And then we have rollback. Rollback is when you deploy an application and there is a critical error or bug. At times you test and test and test, you didn't find anything during the testing stage. You deploy. Once you deploy, you find out that something happened, there is a mistake. So when such a thing happens, you don't just leave it there and start working there. All you need to do is roll it back. When you roll it back, you have to roll it back to fix the issue before redeploying. So revert to previous version. When you are rolling it back, if there is a previous version you people are using in order to minimize the disruption in production, so you have to revert the old system you people are using so that they continue to use it till the new system is ready, because the new system now, a bug has been identified within the new state. So you have to roll back and revert the old version. So once the bug is fixed, then the new version can be redeployed to the production environment. So this is how this works. And if there is any issue, try to analyze the root cause of the issue before redeploying. So with a document like this, you can create a plan on how you can deploy your software or your solution. So that is the document we have captured for now. So these are the key basic documents that can, with these documents, we can get going. But there are so many other documents, but these are basic documents I want you to have knowledge of for now, within your level in project management. When you start going complex, become project senior, there are so many documentation at a very complex level, even in business. So, but at this stage, this is very good for you to get started with. And this is where we are going to stop tonight's class. And if you have any question, I still got some time to address any question you might come up with. Yeah. So all these documents, they are going to be, if you've been following our class or our documentation in course portal, you find out that all the videos comes with lecture notes. So all these lecture notes, this documentation, if you go to the course portal, you are going to find them. So you take your time to study them. Don't just relax that I'm streaming, we'll talk about it here. Try to go through all of them one by one to understand them very well, because these are documents we are going to be using on regular basis as a project manager. So you need to understand it very well. So thank you, and I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you, sir, for the section. For now, I don't have any question.
Okay, that's good. So, Anastasia, do you have any question? Okay, seems she's not there. Okay, thank you for tonight, and I will see you very soon.
Okay, good night.
Yeah, good night.